In this video, we're going to look at the dynamics of R&D competition. Here we'll be looking at who does the innovation in the market. Is it the incumbent firm or is it a new entrant to the market? In particular, we'll look at whether an incumbent firm or a potential rival has more incentive to carry out a product innovation. Earlier we saw a process innovation, which was an innovation that reduced the cost of production. Here we're looking at a product innovation, which is exactly what it sounds like, the creation of a new product. So let's start by looking at the basic model. We will be adding various things to this model, but the basic model is we have an incumbent firm that's initially earning a monopoly profit, pi m, and a potential competitor, who we'll call the rival. They are initially not in the market and earning zero profit. And in order to keep the model simple, we'll assume that the innovation is done by a third party, an R&D lab. They've just discovered and gained a patent on an innovation. The R&D lab is unable to market its innovation directly, so is selling its patent to the firm willing to pay the most. And we'll assume that if neither the incumbent nor the rival firm submits a bid for the patent, then this new patent is unused and the incumbent continues as a monopolist. Now, before we go and solve the model, let's just think about the incentives of the two firms. In this model, the incumbent firm, if they did not face a threat of entry from this potential competitor, then they would not be willing to pay anything for the patent, because if there were no potential rival, they would continue as a monopolist, regardless of whether they innovate or not. On the other hand, the potential rival cannot enter the market without purchasing the patent. So the only reason in this model why the incumbent may want to purchase a patent is to deter the entry of a potential competitor. So this is called preemptive patenting. So the incumbent only innovates because it fears that a rival may otherwise enter the market. Now, it could be that the incumbent is actually better off accommodating entry because the rival is willing to pay more for the patent. That is, the rival gains more from entering the market than the monopolist loses from the competitor entering the market. So we're going to look at whether the incumbent or the rival has more incentive to innovate, which one gains more from purchasing the patent. So the plan is, using the same basic setup, to look at cases where the patent is for a gradual innovation. So this is an innovation that does not replace the existing product. So it could be a new product that does something similar to the old product, but is differentiated in some way, or uses a different technology, but does exactly the same thing. An example of this would be something like WMA files. They do the same thing as an MP3 file, but neither one is much better than the other. We will also look at a drastic innovation. So this is an innovation that makes the existing product obsolete. As an example, CDs largely replaced vinyl. As well as looking at these two different types of innovation, we will also allow for uncertainty about the existence of the potential rival. But to begin with, we'll start with a model with gradual innovation and certainty. So let's consider the case of a gradual innovation. What we're going to do is compare the profit of each firm when they win the patent to when they don't win the patent, and use that to work out how much they're willing to pay for the patent. And then we'll compare the willingness to pay of the incumbent firm and the rival for the patent. If the incumbent firm bids and acquires the patent, then the rival is not able to enter the market and the incumbent will remain a monopolist. The rival will get zero profit and the incumbent firm will still receive the profit, pi m. On the other hand, if the rival bids and acquires the patent, then the rival will enter the market. The market will become a duopoly. Because this is a gradual innovation, both firms will coexist in the market, producing their different products. Each firm will then receive a duopoly profit, pi d. Now let's look at how much the rival is willing to pay for the patent. If the rival bids and wins the patent, then the market becomes a duopoly and the rival gets the duopoly profit, pi d. Whereas if the rival does not win the patent, then it cannot enter the market and it gets a profit of 0. So the gain in profit is pi d. If the incumbent firm bids and wins the patent, then they get the monopoly profit, pi m. Whereas if they do not win the patent and the rival bids, then the incumbent firm gets the duopoly profit pi d. So the gain for the incumbent firm from winning the patent is the difference between the monopoly profit and the duopoly profit. So the incumbent firm is willing to pay more if its gain is more than the rival's gain. Rearranging, we get this inequality. It says that the incumbent is willing to pay more if the monopoly profit is larger than the total duopoly profit. So the question now is the monopoly profit more than the total duopoly profit? And the answer is that it usually is. If the products are identical, then this inequality will hold. For example, in the Bertrand model, the total duopoly profit is 0, whereas the monopoly profit is non-zero, and so this inequality will hold. In the Cournot model with identical products, where the firms are choosing quantity, it is still the case that the monopoly profit is more than the total duopoly profit, because the profit from joint profit maximization is more than the total profit when the firms individually maximize. If the products are not identical, then it could be that the monopoly profit is less than the total duopoly profit. Consider the extreme case when the two firms' products are actually different products, so they each have a monopoly. Then the total profit of these firms would be twice the monopoly profit, and so the inequality would not hold. But as long as the products are not too differentiated, then this inequality will hold. So we found that an incumbent's incentive to invest in the gradual innovation is, at least usually, greater than its rivals. So this result has a name. It's the efficiency effect. The efficiency effect here is that the incumbent's fear of losing its monopoly position gives it a stronger incentive to innovate. So the industry structure will move in the direction that industry profits are higher, that is, monopoly. So over time, the incumbent firm will stay a monopoly. It will be continually innovating in order to deter entry of potential rivals. So although we'll have no new entry in this market, there will be continual change through continually improving products.